Okay. Hello, welcome to our first video, Brexpats in Spain. We actually did ask our members on our Facebook if they could come up with a proper name for us. We weren't too keen on some of the suggestions, I must be honest. Unfortunately, the three blokes in a pub beat us to it because about 2 years ago I did think about doing this and we were either going to be gobby women or four birds in a bar. Unfortunately, as I say, they've beaten us to it, so we can't do that. So we'll just be quite simply Brexpats in Spain. And we shall be bringing in our Brexperts. That's where I got that from. So let me first of all introduce myself, and then the two ladies can introduce themselves. I'm Anne Hernandez. I'm president of the Association of Brexpats in Spain. I'm a semi-retired university lecturer. I've lived on Spanish soil now for well over 32 years. Costa del Sol for 20 years. And basically that's me, I suppose. I'm not political. However, this is a very political subject, I do realise, but we're just trying our best to defend our rights, to raise awareness, to protect us British residents, immigrants here in Spain.
Okay, Sharon.
My name's Sharon Hitchcock and I've lived in Spain for 29 years. So most of my career actually has been in Spain. I wouldn't say that I'm not political, but I have been guilty of lethargy where it comes to voting and just getting my point across. And I think now's the time that nobody should be sitting back. I think everybody should have an opinion and everybody should be fighting for our rights.
Thank you.
Over to you.
I'm Judy Filmer, and some of you may know me from the Facebook page that we're running for Brexpats. I've lived here for 17 years with my husband, and just recently my mother has come from England and joined us, which is another experience altogether as far as healthcare and etc. No more to say, really.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Sharon and Judy, obviously. Just to let you know, we are here tonight. We're at the Ilunion Hotel Hacienda del Sol, which is halfway up the road, Mijas Road, on the way to Mijas Village. Beautiful little village in the Costa del Sol. Right, so what are we going to be talking about? Basically, number one, which is this video, is one of many. We have decided on certain topics that we think are very important for us to get proper information. We're not necessarily debating political topics, we're more here to inform, which is very difficult because we can't get around all of Spain to give out this information. And as I said, we will be bringing in our experts, Brexperts we're going to call them, which are professionals, for their advice. We are just a group of concerned amateurs. Not saying we're not professional in what we do, but we're not professionally qualified. So legal issues, etc. We will be bringing in a solicitor to talk to you. And also, absolutely delighted, Charmaine Arbouin, who is our consul for Andalucia and the Canaries, will also be coming in and giving her information. And hopefully Simon Manley, our British ambassador, will be checking in on occasions too, as well as other experts, obviously. So, what are we going to talk about today? The purpose, I suppose.
Yeah, our aim, our mission.
Our aim, yes. And our frequency.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to be doing that very much more now because the time is running away with us before Brexit. So,
yeah, as I said, we came up with certain topics that we thought were important, the ones that we're mostly questioned about. And surprisingly, we came up with 13 areas that need clarification. We were going to do a video a month. Obviously, that would take us way beyond next 29th of March. Then we decided a video every 2 weeks, but now, unfortunately, time is running out and it's going to be one a week that you're going to be hearing from us. So please tune in, everybody, because there'll be lots of useful information.
I don't think, we're not trying to say that we've got all the answers, because we
Absolutely
certainly
not.
don't.
Nobody has the answers.
But what we can do is make sure that we've got all our ducks lined up in a row as far as we possibly can, so that whatever happens, we personally and for everybody out there, because there's a lot of people I think out there that are quite vulnerable, that we can help them get their ducks in a row as well, and then who knows?
Yeah, it's a case of dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's, basically, in advance. As Judy said, obviously the urgency, first of all, which we'll be talking about in the next video, will be residences, voting rights, obviously, and the padron, because a lot of you don't actually understand the difference between the padron and the electoral register. And there are lots of questions regarding residences. Now, luckily for us, some of the police, the national police, where you have to do your residency, do accept appointments online, which is good. The one in Fuengirola since the end of September. Prior to that, you had to go down and wait at stupid o'clock in the morning, join the queue, just to be given an appointment, and then to go back at stupid o'clock another morning, which is possibly 3 months later for your appointment. Talking about 3 months, that's just about the length of time you have to wait now to change your driving licence.
At least.
Though there is a trick, there is a way around that, which we will be telling you in due course. So, okay. We shall be, as I say, inviting our experts in. And anybody that wishes to come in that has an interesting topic or subject or an experience to share with everybody, please, you're more than welcome to come in. We're not always going to be at this hotel, we will be at different venues, obviously on the Costa del Sol. And we obviously need your questions as well. Sharon, you had an interesting conversation with a guy just today,
I was speaking with a colleague today who's Spanish, but has an English accent. He's lived in Brighton for over 20 years on and off, and obviously lived in Spain as well. And he's been trying to, well, he contacted, who is it, the Home Office in the UK? Yeah. He would have contacted the Home Office to try and get settled status for himself, because he's practicing his rights as an EU citizen to be settled status in one country and work and live in another. And he's basically had a reply to say, no, you're not working in Britain, therefore you cannot have settled status here. And he was saying, which is quite interesting because I didn't know this, that what you can do in that instance is you can move, so all the social security payments that he's made into the UK over the last 20 years, he can have that amount of money moved back to Spain, because now that's going to be his settled status place, so to speak, because he's coming back to his own country. I didn't know that.
Crikey.
Now, if that's true, which he seems to think it is, if that's true, imagine. What a bill!
Can you imagine?
What a bill!
Where's that money coming from? This
all
magic
the nurses,
money
doctors,
tree
and
that
all the
Mrs. May
Spanish.
doesn't have. Can you imagine?
Just in Spain, if they move back to Spain and decide to do the same thing and ask for their social security.
Well, funny you should say that, because we obviously have a member who is a doctor here in the Spanish National Health, Guillermo, and he sends me articles from, is it the Lancet, the medical sort of journals. And at the last reckoning, I believe, there were 2,000 doctors, not nurses, not ward orderlies, qualified doctors with experience on the point of leaving the UK, and they work for the NHS. How they're going to be replaced overnight is impossible, obviously. How they're going to be replaced even, you know, to deal with demand is really difficult. And then can you imagine if all of their social security that they're paid, how is that going to happen?
To go back. I mean, it's like, it is daily, isn't it? Daily. Something pops up and you think, oh, well, I
wonder if they've been advertising that fact. That seems to have been something that they kept very much to themselves, the government.
I knew there was something to do with your pensions, that you could accrue that and move that. And
that's something else. You can aggregate your pensions. Now, the double lock, triple lock, they reckon is going to go ahead. That's fine. We will have the annual increase. Okay, that's not a problem. The difference is the aggregated pension, because if you haven't worked your full life, let's say in the UK, and I think it's 35 years, is it, to get a full pension, you can top it up if you've worked in another EU country. You send it back somehow, and it gets topped up to meet the maximum or minimum limit, I suppose, and you then receive your full UK pension. We don't know if that's going to be a future agreement. There's going to be so much, I believe, is going to be left to bilateral agreements, and I actually think they're going to be easier to sort than the EU agreement in general, the withdrawal agreement. It's, do you know, I will read something one day and I'll think, oh, that's it, right, I've got that into my head, I know what's what. The next day there's something that totally contradicts it, or certainly contradicts what my understanding of it was.
Well, I just got my head around the backstop. I just got my head around the backstop.
Yeah, but I know you need a backstop for a backstop.
To the backstop. Right, okay. And then there's the backstop to the backstop, so I thought, right, okay, you lost me now.
That guy Verhofstadt was on the TV today, did you see it? And he actually had one of the questions that you could interact with him, and one of the questions that kept coming up is, please explain what a backstep is. And he actually sat there in this interview to explain what it was. And I'm still no wiser.
No. Well, I don't know. Ireland is a difficult issue, and I really don't see any solution to it.
But I would also, I don't know, but I think it would be interesting if a person who voted Leave could come here and not just sound bites, not just rhetoric, but actually
not just Brexit means Brexit.
Yeah, just give me something, because I'm open to listening to it.
Well, it's funny you say that so many times on our Facebook. We've got 4 Facebook groups and the website, obviously, and so many times members have asked, can a Leave member, because we accept Leavers and Remainers alike, being apolitical, and as I maintained from the start, the outcome is going to affect us all in exactly the same way. Nobody is going to get special treatment because they voted to leave, and that's what's happening. But we've asked, can a Leaver please explain the benefits of Brexit? And not one, to this day, has been able to. It's just a personal opinion or a common belief. I find, you know, I mean, and then you've got Jacob Rees-Mogg saying we won't feel the benefits in the UK for 50 years.
No, we'll all be dust by then.
Oh yeah,
so it's not really any point.
It's really difficult. It is difficult.
It is.
And as I was going to say, we were actually going to do this video yesterday, being bonfire night. The Houses of Parliament are still standing. 400 and odd years ago, they nearly weren't. But
I just hope that that throughout it all, whatever happens, that we can get back to like being civil with each other, because
there's so much
there's so much anger, hatred, and on both sides as well. And I think that's not a healthy.
Funny that. No, let me.
It's not very healthy.
I put on posted last night. My dad, bless him, died in May. He said to me, "There is nothing bloodier than a civil war," and this is just like, this gives you just a little glimpse of literally where you could be at war with your next door neighbour. You know, people
did you by any chance see that programme last night, Brexit, What the Nation Thinks? Right, talking about that, this surprised me. They said that now, and I shall read it, over 70-year-old men of East Anglia are the most likely in the UK to vote Leave, and young black women from West London are the most likely to vote Remain. Why? Why does it matter what age, what nationality, what colour, race, creed, religion, sexual tendencies, anything?
It's a stat, and that's all it is, isn't it?
Yeah, does it matter?
No.
It really, and I think that was so bad to even say that. And they must have had some sort of question to find that out. What is your ethnicity? What is your age?
Yeah. Because a Leaver should be allowed to say, I vote Leave, and not have.
Everybody should be allowed to say.
You should be allowed to have free speech.
Of course it is.
Without, at the moment, it feels like me when you look at all the Facebook pages. It just feels that just people are tearing each other apart.
Oh, there's so much bile on some of them. It's revolting.
And misinformation, which is something we at our presentations try to dispel, to be truthful, because
so we're saying we haven't got the answers. We don't.
No, we don't have the answers, but we can quell the rumours at least.
But we won't be speculating.
No,
I mean, whatever we are saying will be factual on
exactly.
here. And
I say that, and that daily things come up, don't they? So people can let us know. Oh well, this happened to me today, and this happened. Like my famous boot story last week, where I had to pay €31 customs from America. I didn't even think about it when I ordered the boots. No. But now I'm thinking, oh my god. What happens next year when I order stuff from Marks and Spencer's?
Who knows? Anyway, just to give you all an idea of what we will be talking about, as I said, the next one will be Residencias, Padron and the electoral register, and possibly we'll talk about voting, which is something I think is quite wrong, because I've not been able to vote, and come next March I shan't be able to vote anywhere in the world, not the EU elections, nor even in the municipal elections in May here. Driving licence is something that's quite important at the minute, and vehicles, pensions, banking and transfers, health and the S1 scheme, private insurance possibly, wills and inheritance, and sadly death. It will happen to all of us at some stage, but you need to know how to deal with it in different countries. It's not all the same as in the UK. Pet travel. They're talking about reinstating quarantine.
Yeah, there was a
And
new.
they saying 4 months?
There was a new no deal thing that came out today. In fact, I got an email about it. Yes, I read that because friends of mine go back and forth with their animals quite frequently.
A lot of people do. They go
What
back
does
on
it say
holiday.
on, you know, the government
Yes,
reduced
that's
on
the
the white paper.
Yeah.
And it's, well, of course, in the case of no deal, forget it.
Yeah,
But the
exactly.
rest of it, they're saying it should remain the same. Whether that's
Do you want to explain just what these white papers are, which when we refer to them, people understand.
Right. They are what the government are issuing quite frequently. The other day I had 30 of them come through. They seem to be spending more time and effort in this than they do on sorting out a deal, to be truthful, but that's up to them. And I do think they've not been done overnight. They've been planning these for a long time. They are advice and guidance of how people should act, how things will change, should there be a no deal. Basically, that is it. They are what to do in the case of a no deal, and it covers everything. You know.
So this isn't us saying that there's going to be something about pets. This is
no.
Government.
I mean, there's like settled status. Yeah. There's EU citizens in the UK. There's UK citizens in the EU. There's fishing rights. There's trade. There's everything. Everything is covered. So perhaps we need to concentrate a little bit more on the ones that affect us rather than in general. Anyway, moving on. So we have pet travel, as we've said. Freedom of movement, that's quite a big issue. And Gibraltar, certainly for us here in Spain, we do have a lot of members that live in Spain and work in Gibraltar. That might be difficult, though Pedro Sanchez, the new Prime Minister here, has recently announced that he will not stand in the way of any negotiations with Gibraltar, which is good because Mariano Rajoy kind of held out an olive branch, I suppose, to Theresa May and said we'll share the airport, which is it's a military airport. It's not a commercial airport.
My granddad helped build it.
Really? Anyway, the offer was declined, so it sort of became a stalemate. But Pedro Sanchez has said he will not object. Employment, being autonomo, self-employed, contracts, tax returns, taxation in general, education and qualification, something else that needs sorting, and property. Perhaps we just might like to mention not necessarily how things change, but how things should be done now so as to not get into trouble. I mean, there's a rental clause that you are supposed to abide by that a lot of people don't. I mean, not to say that being non-EU we're more likely to be inspected, but one never knows. So if we can just give general guidance, sales as well. And then obviously an update if there's any agreement going forward, or if it's a no deal. So a general update. And if any of you got any more ideas, please send them to us. Send them to our Facebook or info@brexpats.es, or any one of us will personal message accept, I'm quite sure. And if you've got any questions, as we say, please send them in, or if you want to come along and join us, if we can fit 4 in, that's fine, or one of us can stand down. So yeah, have we got anything else we want to tell people?
No, not really. Just support us.
Yeah, please support us. I think the one after being quite an important issue, we need to deal with health, because a lot of, certainly the pensioners here are very, very worried about their future rights with regards to health. I mean, there's some people that are in the middle of long-term treatment, cancer treatment, heart treatment, that sort of thing, and they don't know if beyond March it will still be paid for, which is horrendous.
And I think we would be gobsmacked if we knew how many people are actually still using just the e-hic.
Oh my lord, yeah, well that's another issue.
You know, these people need to get their heads out of the sand and maybe we can help them a little bit in finding out. It's not a scary process, it's quite easy, it's quite straightforward.
I mean, you do have those that are under the radar. If that's how you choose to remain here, that's entirely up to you.
I think as well, you know what people are like here. They
we're
listen to the man in the
We're
pub.
not telling people what to do.
So somebody's using their e-hic. Well, I've never had any problem. Oh, that's what you do then. So I think there's a lot of people out there, which, I mean, I've done past in seminars, and there's a lot of vulnerable people out there who will listen to the person that befriends them. Rather than people.
I know. I mean, we're not here to report anybody. Obviously, we're not going to dob anybody in, as I say. All we can do is advise, and if you wish to take the advice, then you'll probably be well advised to do so. But if you don't, then it's entirely up to you. As I always say, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So, you know, the ball's in your court, you guys. It's entirely up to you what you want to do.
But there's a certain amount of urgency now.
There is a massive amount of urgency.
I keep repeating that because it's the 29th of March. I mean, That's it.
A little over 4 months.
Yeah.
Plus we've got Christmas in between that. And all of the bank holidays that we have here in Spain and in the UK and the New Year. Yeah, and the Reyes on the 6th. So yes, it's when administrative public bodies close down virtually, don't they?
Yeah.
So there is a lot. And certainly I don't think the government will be working then, not here in Spain. So yeah, there is quite an urgency for this.
Yeah, I think
indeed. So I think that's about all from us for today. Thank you ever so much, Judy. Thank you, Sharon, for coming in.
To the table together.
Yeah, and we'll see you next time.